Alright, so hi guys, welcome back to another video. This video is a little bit special because it's not one of your vlogs, but it's actually a video featuring some of my friends, also in the same program as me. And we're here to basically talk about the BME lifestyle and answer any general Waterloo questions too. So to give you guys a little more insight into what the program is really like. So we really try to cover as many topics as we could think of, but if there's any other questions that you may have, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and then me or one of the others featuring in this video will get back to you as soon as possible.
My name's Jane, and I'm from Mississauga.
Hi, my name is Angela, and I'm from Richmond Hill, Ontario.
Hi, I'm Zoe. I'm from Markham, Toronto.
Hi, I'm Leeson, and I'm from Ottawa, Ontario.
And we're all from BME. I'm from London, so like a small town, but
Transitioning from high school to uni, I think I was expecting it to be a massive change, and what I found was that it was both a shock and not a shock. I think I was worried the knowledge gap would be insane. Most of the courses were kind of just an extension of your high school courses, so chemistry, physics, and the first half of lineage. I think personally I found calculus to be the hardest, but if you study hard, it's not impossible. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess adding on to what Jane said, aside from the academic perspective, there's definitely a large transition. Well, for me personally, in terms of just being away from high school friends who I'd grown close to, or just my family in general. And so that was kind of difficult because it's all of a sudden you don't really have your support system and you aren't able to see them. But I think that it just further pushes you to put in an effort or an extra effort to make friends or be more social, so you can start to build up another support system at university.
During the year being on campus, the workload wasn't too bad. I feel like if you're able to manage your time well, you're going to have time to squeeze in extracurriculars and other things like that. I guess approaching all the exam seasons, it definitely gets pretty hectic, and there's going to be long nights, just working and grinding things out. But overall, I think if you put in an effort to task prioritize and stuff, everything works out. With online lectures, it didn't feel like a lot of work in comparison to being on campus, having to teach yourself. But I think it was harder to have been expected to understand all these new concepts so well, and then we ended up being tested on really hard content.
I think it's I'm taking an online class right now. I think the difference between online and in person is in person you kind of get to see other people, and if they you don't know what you're doing and they don't know what you're doing, it makes you feel a little better about you not knowing what you're doing. I think it's really important to make connections, because I don't know anyone in my online class right now, and that becomes really difficult when I don't know what's going on. So having a friend to help out. So especially with the cohort system, make a friend or two friends. It can't be that hard. You have the same class as everyone, so that part of online should be easier. But I would say make a friend and do work together. That makes things a lot easier.
So I personally started programming for the first time in grade 9 because my school was very focused on programming. And the experience I developed over high school was 3 years of experience from Java Basics, which was my first language. The courses I did in high school were very similar to the digital computations course, if not it covered even more material. So it did help me move through the course really easily. But for the data structures and algorithms course, you do touch upon the basic OOP stuff in the beginning, which you learn in high school. But then the abstract data types and all those stuff, linked lists, for example, that was new for me. You don't really learn in high school programming courses, at least I didn't. So that's a little bit of a harder step or jump that might exist. But our prof is very nice. Igor is the prof for that course. So some people found it a little bit difficult in the beginning, but as you move through the course as a class, I think it's fine.
I just thought I would share a little bit about my perspective because I went in with no experience, and I was actually like so worried about it, even though like they don't expect, like Angela said, they don't expect you to know any coding. But I remember before going in, I was reading like course reviews about the first year coding courses, and there were people saying like, "Oh, if you know coding, like it's a breeze, but if you don't, it's brutal." So that's what like scared me. I don't think it was that bad. They were actually like my favorite courses. Like I thought they were really fun because I'd never done them. If I could have gone back to like the summer before, or like any time in high school, like I wish I started coding earlier, because I feel like if I did already have the fundamentals down, like if I could just like think like a programmer before going in, I feel like I would be able to do more. But yeah, I think that if you don't have experience, you don't need to worry. Both the profs I think are really good, and they're really good at helping you when you're struggling. I think it offers a unique experience in that it gives you like this opportunity to become really close to your classmates. And like you get to grow with your group over the course of the whole 5 years, which I think will be really fun. We got to see like the graduating class on their prank day this year, and they had a really fun vibe going on. So I think that going through this whole experience together will, in the end, give you like a lot of new friends and stuff. This whole like 90-person family. But yeah, that's what I think. I mean, I guess some people might say like a disadvantage is that like literally all our courses are with each other. Like we only see each other every day except for like that one elective. I guess you don't get to meet people in other classes, but you'll get to meet other people in other places anyway.
Mm. And I think our profs too, like our profs fall under the system design, at least most of our profs, right? Because of that, I think it's better that we get to connect more with our profs, like as a family, like you said, of like 90 people, right? So you get to know your profs a lot better versus like if you were in a lecture hall of maybe like 500 people, it's harder to connect with your prof.
Shout out to Igor. We love Igor. I love singing. I've always loved singing, and it's something that I wanted to continue doing in university. So I joined a cappella, and they're like my second family, and I love them a lot. And that's like a really, really great community. There's a lot of communities like that at Waterloo that you can join. There's like hip hop, there's archery, they do rock climbing, literally anything you can think of. I think we have like a cheese club. There's a lot of things. Anime club, video game club, there's everything. So like whatever you want to do and you want to continue doing in university, you definitely can. Engineering shouldn't be your whole life. If you make it your whole life, you'll probably burn out like really quickly. So like having the extracurricular to like have a little more fun and to like maybe gain technical skills is really great.
If you play an instrument, you should join the orchestra. I didn't get the chance to join many biomed related clubs this year because I felt like for me, I was doing a lot to just fit in orchestra every week. But I think, yeah, like Zoe said, find something that you love to do and like make the time to be able to do it, because for me it was orchestra and it was my biggest de-stressor, and like every time I got there every week I was like so grateful. Like if I wasn't in orchestra I'd be so like sad. So yeah, it's just nice to do non-engineering related things, or like even engineering related things, like just something fun.
One of the clubs I did was Biomechatronics Club, and I think that's a big one for BME. Like literally almost the whole class is in it, like in some way, some form or another, because there's different branches, right? It's not just like it's one big club, but then you have subdivisions. So yeah, like I think everyone's kind of in it. But I kind of enjoyed it. I think I experimented with the different divisions actually, and just recently I was working on a prosthetic arm, 3D printed prosthetic, just redesigning it. But I also thought it was really nice to connect with upper year BMEs because, as I mentioned, like literally the whole entire program, like no matter what cohort you're in, is kind of involved in biomechatronics. So that's a club that I would definitely suggest if you want to connect with upper years too, and maybe learn more. And it really applies your BME skills. Like I know we took 2 design classes in first year, so that was really helpful. And then I was also an engineering ambassador, and that is basically just helping high school students to integrate better into university. So I did shadow days where one high school student would follow me around kind of for the whole entire day. And then I'm hoping to kind of be more involved this upcoming year.
Actually, aside from Waterloo extracurriculars, I think it's also a very good idea as a university student to also take part in organizations that are outside of Waterloo. So usually in university, there are a lot of student organizations or hackathons or just like opportunities in general where you can work with other students from different universities across Canada or even in America. And for example, like sometimes you can work with students at McMaster, you can work with students at U of T, you can do remote research, you can do open source contributions for software projects. I think the remote aspect of working with other people really strengthens your teamwork skills and communication skills because you're not working with them in person, right? But that just means you have to work really harder and actually like network with them well, which is probably very beneficial now since with the COVID crisis, a lot of jobs are remote, right? So if you've done some sort of remote collaboration, it might be really helpful for these kind of projects.
So I'm currently working at Questrade, which is an investment banking firm. I think at the end of the day, it's finding the opportunities that you think are really cool and interesting and then going for them. I think especially with the first co-op, you might not get a biomedical engineering related co-op. People work in software. I'm working in fintech. Like you end up in a lot of places that you didn't really expect you'd be. I think like the co-op process in general is very stressful. You get like 1,000 jobs kind of like thrown at you and you have to like read through all of them in like a couple days and then like choose 50 that you like and apply. And I think that part is like very stressful. So like if you have the opportunity to like figure out how you want to plan that beforehand, I would really recommend doing so, and like figuring out your resume. Also like upper years will run resume critiques. I would definitely recommend going. My resume has been changed like 7 different times and like that's completely fine.
Speaking for BME specifically, because we are under the systems design department, a lot of the mindsets and knowledge that we're like taught, it's very systems design engineering thinking. You get to think about how systems integrate with each other, which is why I believe as like a BME student, the skills that we get really, they're really helpful for PM jobs, project management jobs. You kind of get a lot of opportunities to explore a lot of different fields, like I also mentioned earlier. And you're given like multiple co-ops as well. So you can explore a different field and then focus on like one field during your 4th co-op or something, and then move forward with that in your future job. So I think I really like the Waterloo co-op system. It's very flexible, teaches you some very nice skills for job hunt, and then you also get the experience really early on, and it'll help you when you graduate and try to find a full-time job.
I guess like for me, I actually didn't want to go to Waterloo at first because I was really scared that like I go to a school and I'd be like depressed for 4 years because like there's like that like people think that Waterloo is like super depressing. And I guess like the reason that I came here is because it's actually not. I went to Women in Engineering Night before I came to university, and I realized that like the people here are super inclusive and like they're really, really friendly. Especially like the women in engineering because there's not a lot of us, so we're really good at empowering each other and like supporting each other. So I really love my BME girls for all of that. And I think at the end of the day, I think it's because we work really hard that like people have the idea that like we're kind of depressing, but I think that's just like a part of us. But we also like have a lot of fun when we do. Like I get like bubble tea every week. So yeah.
While I do agree, like obviously every single university like encounters a lot of mental health issues, and then there are like cases and you will go through like times of mental hardship. But yeah, I don't think I would agree with like the rep Waterloo gets for being like big depressed. So, like sometimes it can be a little isolating, but if you do like put in the effort and everyone around you, like especially in BME, is super open and like to be friends, and everyone's super friendly. I don't think anyone's like toxic. I don't think so.
Like not in our program, yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Make friends that you can trust and you can like really rely on, and like help each other out, you know. So I think it's nice to like not keep everything to yourself sometimes, because I know that can be also really mentally draining.
The engineering society has like a lot of support for it. So like we have like a mates program that runs, so like if you need someone to talk to, there are counselors for that. And there is like someone out there for you at the university. So if you need like professional help, there is that help if you need it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think overall, just if you are like going through tough times, it's okay to reach out to people, and like ultimately by talking to other people, that's where you're able to like get help. And like I think for me personally, going into biomed, like coming in September, I was super intimidated by everyone because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. Like everyone knows what they're doing, but that's not the case at all. Like a lot of other people are in like the same position as you are and maybe like doubting themselves as well. So I think just reaching out and like by doing so, you'll find how like you'll have a bunch of similarities and you'll have the same hardships, but in the end, you guys, or if you are struggling, like you'll be able to overcome it just by like talking to others.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think an important tool to use is GitHub Desktop, because I was just introduced this actually after the whole COVID situation happened. Zoe actually was like, oh, you should just get GitHub Desktop because you can like push and pull stuff as we were working on this project. I think that's very helpful, especially now that fall term might be online. So it's nice to kind of be familiar with GitHub and learn how to push and pull and start your new repository. I also use Google Calendar to organize. So sometimes like exam season, I would like make sure the times are all right so I don't miss an exam. So for written notes, I would use GoodNotes to like write the notes. And then if I have to, I'll type using my laptop. So I kind of have both my laptop and my iPad. I just carry it around with me. And then another thing I would recommend is to get used to kind of the Slack channels, because I know Igor uses that, and like some profs also use that too to kind of communicate with their students. And sometimes like if you want to reach out to profs without having to send like a tedious email that they might not even see, it's just easier to send them a message over Slack, and it's kind of like quick and easy.
Another tool that I really like is my bullet journal. So like I put my full schedule in it, if you can see, and I like color code it and stuff so it looks nice. And it helps me like figure out like what I want to do in a day and like how I want to set up my schedule. Because sometimes like I have like rehearsals, so I like put my rehearsals in specific spots, and like I put like lunch breaks and like when I wanted to study, so that I have all those times planned out. And then it's also really nice to like be able to track like, I don't know if you can see, but like homework and stuff. So that if I had like tasks I had to continue doing, I could like move them over and stuff. Another, I guess, like simpler version of it is like having like a to-do list on your laptop. So like I use Microsoft To Do, and that's like pretty helpful to like keep track of tasks and stuff. So I think that's pretty helpful as well.
Another tool that I think is really helpful is Trello. Like Trello boards, usually organizations would use for their task management, but I've been using Trello boards and Trello cards just to plan out different skills I want to learn, like software skills in particular. I can plan out the different portions that I want to first learn, and then I can check those cards off and then move on. And it doesn't even apply, like doesn't have to apply for software skills. You can kind of do it for anything that you want to learn. You can kind of organize into like a Trello board style, and it really helps you visually see how much you've done, the progress you've had, your backlogs, and just kind of like physically track how your progress has been throughout the summer. Don't feel very overwhelmed when you're trying to transition from high school into university, because everyone's really in the same boat as you. And usually people would love to have some sort of friend or support system. So do not feel very isolated when you're trying to join university, because everyone around you is your community.
It's important to just focus on yourself and focus on your own strengths and weaknesses, because being in university and being in a cohort where like everyone's trying to advance themselves and improve themselves, it can be really easy to like compare yourself to other people and feel really down about yourself and put a lot of pressure on yourself. So I think that at the end of the day, as long as you're making progress on yourself, try not to be too harsh or hard on yourself if you don't, for example, like get the grade you want, or if you don't, I don't know, like achieve something that you wanted to, but someone else did. So I think that's important.
My big tip, or like what I would tell myself, is to like as much as you can, try your best to take care of yourself, like sleep well, and also feed yourself properly, because I would kind of fail at preparing meals for myself, and like healthy meals. But yeah, I think it's really important that you take care of your physical health as well as your mental health.
I guess like what I would tell myself is like set long-term and short-term goals. I think like at the end of the day, like your grades are not going to be where your grades were in like in high school. Mine definitely slipped a bit, and like I also did a lot more like outside of school. And like for me, it became really important to like do extracurriculars and give back and do all those kind of things instead of focus on my grades. So like definitely like figure out what's the most important to you like at this moment and like maybe 5 years from now, because like that's where you want to be, and then this is where you want to be right now. And like staying healthy, sometimes it's better to like have fun with your friends than like study for the test that you have in like 2 weeks from now.